Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Auto Tutorials by Levonotion Studios. This is Super Sam once again, and in this very episode I'm going to show you how you can weight paint your character in Blender. So let's get started. So this was where we left off the last time after rigging the character. If you missed the video, you can go to our playlist on YouTube and check out the video, and the link to the video would also be dropped in the description below. That said, it's time to paint weight for this lovely stylized character. All right, but before I do this, I want to explain some basics for the weight painting, because it can be very confusing to so many people, and I'll try my best to explain the way I can, or the best way I can. I hope you gain something from it. So first of all, to activate the weight paint for your character, you need to select the geometry, that is the character, and then you come to the object mode here, click on it and change it to weight paint. So when you have this straight from the bath, you get a blue solid color from the character. I think I need to turn this off so you can see the blue well. I like turning on the wireframe because it helps me a lot when I'm doing my weight paint, so that's why I like turning it on. But I just want to turn it off here for you to see the blue solid shape, the blue color. Okay, so this blue color shows that I currently have 0 influence. Okay, anything that has to do with weight paint falls between the value of 0 and 1. So when you have value of 0 for a particular vertex, it means there's no weight on that vertex, and the color information or the visual feedback of that in Blender is a blue color. But when a particular vertex has the maximum weight, which is 1, it shows red color. Okay, so that is how you can tell visually in terms of color separation. So blue for 0 weight, 1 red for maximum weight. Have that at the back of your mind. That's 1. Then 2, when you have a selected control, such as this, for example, I have this eyelid control and it's given me a pink color. Now this pink color tells me that this particular control has no influence whatsoever on this character. Okay, it is different from 0 weight. Okay, 0 weight has no influence too, but in a way, this pink color is very, very different from 0 weight. This pink color shows that it has no history of weight at all on this particular character. And when I come to tools here, when I come to items, okay, tools and view, you can see I have no information at all on it. So that means this is not part of the list in the vertex group for this particular character. That's why I have pink color here. So if you want to paint your weight on the character, make sure you have the rig of the character set to the post mode, and then make sure you also have every other information that you need to paint with active, like this. These are the deformation bones. They're important for me, so I want to make them active so I can see anytime I want to paint the weight. And finally, you want to go to the paint weight for the character. But because I have this control selected and the curve is not registered as, on the weight list for this particular mesh, I have the purple color, like I explained earlier on. So if I hold down Control and I click on any of these bones, the color changes. And now you can see blue at the outer part of the radius here. And then you can see green, yellow, then red. So that means I have 0 weight here. And then moving closer to this bone, the value of the weight increases. So between the bone here and the outer part of the character mesh, you have the value of 0 to 1. Like I said, 0 means, blue means 0 weight, and then red means weight of 1, which is the maximum weight a vertex can have. All right. The same thing applies to every other bone here. When you click on them, control click, control click. Now this one shows no influence at all, right? Shows no influence at all within this area. This shows a bit of influence. This has influence around the ear. Yeah, so this is how you read your paint weights. Okay, now let me take you to the tools, how you can set up your tool for paint weights. So before you paint your character, before you paint the weight of your character, you need to understand how your tool works. Now when you come to tool here, you have brush settings. Under the brush settings, you have a very important attribute to work with, which is called the blend. Now when you click on this arrow, you have lots of information here. You have the mix, you have darken, you have multiply, you have add, you have subtract. There are lots of information here. But of course, you can't use everything. So you need to work out a particular workflow for yourself that is suitable for how you work. For me, I use mix most of the times, and that's because I can tweak the settings of my mix to get the workflow of my mix brush working like an add brush or get it working as the subtract brush. I'm going to rephrase that. I like working with the mix because I can easily tweak the settings of my mix to make it work like an add brush or make it work like a subtract brush. And this is what I mean in practice. So I'm choosing mix now. If I have my weight in 1, maximum of 1, that means my brush settings is currently in the add mode. But when I have it on 0, it means my brush is working as a subtract brush. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. So when I hold down Control to click on, I want to click on this curve. Okay, fine. So you can see I have my purple showing here. To paint the weight, I need my wireframe to show up. Okay, so as soon as I click on this vertex, watch the color change from pink to between blue and red. So just click on that. But first, I want to make it work like an add brush. So I'm going to click on that, boom. And you see the purple color changes immediately. The pink color changes rather immediately, and then you can see this, I have slightly green. And this is because my weight is on 0.5, which is not the maximum weight. Do you understand? So this strength helps you add in beats whatever you want. If you're working as, if you're trying to add to the weight, when you have your strength on 1, clicking it once gives you the maximum value. It gets you there faster, okay? But if you have the strength reduced, that means you need to click multiple times before you can get to the maximum of 1. So that is how it works. That said, I want to take this out now. So I want my mix brush to work like the subtract brush. It's very easy. All I need to do is just turn this down to 0 and then click out. So now I have everything on blue. This is what we started with, okay? So that's one. Another thing I want to bring to your notice is under the symmetry here. Now you can see this X mirror. Anytime you have it checked on, you need to uncheck it because this could pose a problem for you during your paint weights. This is what it means. Now when you click on a particular control and you want to paint on that control with the X mirror active, what it does is it doesn't just paint on the vertex you are painting on, it also paints on the opposing vertex. Okay, for example, I have this on the right hand side, but when I click on it, see what happens. I'm changing back to the add. When I click on this, you can see I have the opposite, the mirrored vertex, so to speak, because this vertex is on the left hand side of the screen, which is the left hand side of the character rather, which is the right hand side of the screen. So clicking on this, I'm having another feedback on the opposite vertex, which is the right hand vertex, which is the vertex on the right hand side of the character, which is the left hand side of the screen. So I'm going to refer to this based on the screen, or it's easier to refer to it based on the character. So when I say the right of the character, you should know I'm referring to the left of the screen. Okay, so the right of the character now, I'm having the same feedback, but I just painted the left of the character, so you don't want this. So if I click once again, watch what happens on the right hand side of the character. The color intensifies, which means I'm adding more to the weight. So when I keep adding it until I get to 1, which is red, you can see I have the same thing here. So the implication of this is when I move the control in post mode, the fact that the control is meant to deform the left hand side of the character is a good thing. But the bad thing now is I would also have the right hand side of the character being deformed, and I don't want that. So how do we solve this problem? I'm going to take this back to 0. So my brush is acting like a subtract brush now, and I can paint this out. And then you can clearly see the feedback on the right hand side of the character also. So now the challenge is I want to paint this part of the character, but at the same time, I don't want to work twice unnecessarily. I don't want to waste my time doing it 2 different times. I just want to paint once and then have the same paint weight on the right hand side of the character. So the easiest way to do this, or should I say the only way to do this, is by checking this checkbox here. It says vertex groups X symmetry. It is very important. So this is what you want to get the effects you're looking for, and not this X mirror. So I'm going to turn off this X mirror, and then firstly, let me uncheck this and show you how it works. So I have this control selected. You can see I have no weight on this control. And I want to select the same control on the other side of the character, which is the right hand side of the character, which is this. I'm going to zoom in so that we can clearly see what I'm doing here. Okay, that is difficult to select. Let me use this. Okay, now I want to select this part. This is the opposite part of the character. This is to the right. You can see lead, top, left. So I want to select lead, top, right. So control and click. And I have lead, top, right, which is lead TR. So now for lead, top, left, I want to paint weight for it so that I can get rid of this purple, this pink color. So I'm going to push this to weight of 1, which makes my brush an add brush now. So I'm going to click this part. So as soon as I did that, you can see I'd gotten rid of the pink color. Now, when I click on this also, the lead top right, I still have the pink color, and this is not what I want. I don't want to paint for this control separately because I've done so for the control on the left hand side. I want it to automatically transfer the information to the right hand side. But now because I have this checked box, because I have my vertex group X symmetry not checked, I was unable to do that. So let me show you the right way to do it this time around. So I'm going to go back to the left lead top and change my brush to a subtract brush from the mix by changing the mix weight to 0. And I'm going to click out a couple of times to clean it off. Okay, I have that cleaned off. I have it cleaned out. Now to confirm this, let me go back to this, and I have pink. Okay, now if you notice, I still have pink here because this control has not been listed as part of the weight registered for this character mesh. That's why it's pink. But for the control on the left, I already have this control listed as part of the weight for this character mesh. That is why I see blue color. So I have 0 weight, which is registered. It is different from having pink, which is not registered at all. So 0 weight is registered, it gives me blue, but pink shows it's not registered at all, so it gives you pink. Now I want to paint for this such that by the time I click on this other one, I have the feedback also. But don't forget to always check on the vertex group X symmetry. And now with the vertex group checked, I can click on this part. Remember to go back to weight of 1. I can click on this part. Let me make it more pronounced. right? And now if I hold down Control and click on the right hand side, you can see I have the same weight I painted on the left top lid. I don't know if that makes sense. I think it should, because I just showed you practically how to do that. So I'm going back here and I want to clean it out because I'm not ready to do this. So take it back to 0 and then clean out. And now when we check out the right lid, we should have 0 weight also. So perfect, it works fine. So always make sure you turn these settings up also in order to mirror your paint weight. Now, another thing I want to show you is the auto normalize. Auto normalize is very, very important. Like I said, every vertices here has a room to have a weight of 0 value to 1. So it is either 0, 1, or anything in between, okay? Your vertices can never have a negative weight. It is not possible. That means you can't have any weight lesser than 0, and you can't have any weight above 1. So your weight is always around 0, 1, and everything in between. Now, auto normalize helps you normalize everything and makes it fluid. So if I have vertex point A and I have vertex point B, if I have one weight on vertex point A, it means that vertex point B would have 0 weight. Example, okay? Now, if I want to add weight on vertex point B also with my auto normalize on, as soon as I start clicking on vertex point B, Blender would automatically subtract some weight value from vertex point A and then add it onto vertex point B. So vertex point A will no longer have a weight of 1. The weight information will start reducing gradually depending on how much I click on vertex point B. That is, depending on how much I add more weight to vertex point B. So it's going to subtract, it's going to take out from A and then give to B. So that's how it works. It's going to normalize it in a smooth way, okay? So it's going to normalize it in a smooth way, and that's what you want, because you don't want to bother yourself about the mathematical process going in the background. All you just want it to do is, as an artist, you want to get something nice and lovely. So that's why weight paints can be complex sometimes if you try to dig so deep into the complexities. I mean, just enjoy this. So let's go on. Now it's time to work on the lid of the character. So I'm going to control click on the eyelid and then G to push it down. You can see what we have so far. The eyelid is penetrating the eyes of the character. So I'm going to turn off the eyes. That's 1. And then 2, I like to disable the subdivision because this will give me the true look of my character mesh before adding subdivisions to it. That's 1. And then number 2, when I'm clicking on every vertex, I'm sure of what I'm clicking on, because sometimes when you have a subdivision on, you can have different vertices that might not be actual vertices. So when you're painting and you're clicking on that particular point, nothing would happen because it is not a real point, okay? So sometimes it's good when you're painting your weights to just paint directly with your subdivision turned off for a moment. And then when you're done, you can turn it on to see the feedback. Now, that said, I also like to clean up the environment. There are bones here that I would necessarily not need for this exercise, so I can easily hide those. For example, I'm going to click on this. Let me go to my object mode in a way. So post mode here. I'm going to click on this. I need this control. So I'm holding down Shift while I click to select every controls that I need. So quickly, I'm going to do that. Okay, I don't need to select this, so hold down Shift and click on it the second time to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm missing this out. I'm going to click on that. All right, so I have all the controls I need for this exercise, and I'm going to hide every other one. Shift H to hide every other one. Okay. Now this looks good. So the next thing I want to do is set a keyframe for the lead control. So I'm going to set a keyframe, but first I need to know the attribute of the location responsible for the up and down. So you can see here the Y is responsible for it. So Alt G to reset the position, and then insert single keyframe. Then on frame 6 I can push it down a bit, say -4, and then I'm gonna insert keyframe there. Then also I can push it down more to the base. Okay, so maybe -6. Insert single keyframe. Okay, so I have this. Now on 6 I would like to paint the weight. So click on the character, then come to weight paint, and now I can hold down control and click on this bone, and then make sure my So anytime you feel you've painted way too much than you need to, you can easily dial back. Okay, you can easily dial back and make your corrections. Okay, so I think it's time to move forward to frame 10, where I have my highest point. So from here I can push that down. Then you can push it down more. So just one there. So weight paint is meant to be loved. Just enjoy it. Okay. Then for this part, you can just click that and then push it in. You can see the feedback here also. It looks very rough now, I know. And that's because my subdivision is not activated yet. But this is the best way to approach it so you don't get distracted. Okay. So now I want to turn on the subdivision and see what I have. Okay, you can turn it off and then go around. Okay, so now GZ, when you push this down, you can see we have this. Okay, it's looking okay. And of course, we are not done yet, because when you turn on the eyes of the character, you can see the lid is still penetrating the eyes. But if this were to be a normal character, character that has the normal human face and the right size for the eyes, we won't need to go through this whole stress. By just paint weighting alone, we would have gotten everything neat. But because the character is stylized, which is a good thing for us, at least, it gave us the opportunity to play around a stylized character and then show the limits and the extent to which you can work with your rig and come up with something very nice. Okay, so with this now, it's a good place to stop your weight painting and move on to the next level, which is corrective shape keys. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in the next video. But for now, I want to make sure I have my values right for this. Going back to object mode and then go back to post